One of the things that Rabbi Nachman spoke about the most is the topic of happiness, joy and happiness. In Judaism, we're taught that Torah and mitzvot are joy and happiness. The pasuk says, Pikudei Hashem Yeshorim Mesamchei Leiv. The commandments of Hashem are righteous. They fill the heart with joy and happiness. A Bet Knesset, a house of prayer, is a place of happiness. V'haviotim el har kodeshi, Hashem says, I will bring them to my holy mountain. V'simachtim beveit tefilati, and I will fill them with happiness in my house of prayer. So we know that a Jew observing mitzvot, studying Torah, praying, should be trying to do it with joy and happiness. However, Rabbi Nachman, 200 years ago, said that it appears that nowadays it's impossible for a person to really be able to be happy all the time without employing inyanei shtut, fun, which sometimes involves a person making themselves appear silly, and to make a joke or to do things that people will say, that's not proper. Obviously, we're talking about within certain boundaries, within certain limitations, where a person certainly is not causing any kind of harm or disturbance to another person, but just employing this attitude of a willingness to be funny, to make a joke, to hear a joke, to be a little bit ostentatious, as a means of helping a person pull themselves out of a down, a depression, a frame of mind of weakness, and lift themselves up to a place where they'll be able to do mitzvot, to study Torah, and to pray. And again, those that study Rabbi Nachman know that Rabbi Nachman was a very serious individual who studied all aspects of Torah, the halacha, the law, the Kabbalah, the mysticism, the stories, every branch of Torah. And he concluded this very emphatically, that it's impossible nowadays for a person to be able to maintain joy and happiness, which means to maintain a connection to Hashem without employing these inyanei shtut. And it's only by employing this, sometimes, that a person will be able to pull himself out of the dumps and be able to bring himself to a frame of mind where they can be productive in every facet of their lives. This is the secret weapon that King David used. The Torah tells us that at one point he was running for his life and he was captured by the Philistines and he was brought before their king. And he was presented as the person who had slain their superhero, Goliath. And those that captured him and brought him before the king were expecting a reward, a huge reward, and expecting to see the king torture King David to death, and who knows what he would do to him. And the Torah tells us that King David saw the situation he was in and came to the conclusion that the only way to possibly save his life would be if he could make himself appear crazy, silly, foolish. And sure enough, he put on a performance, conducting himself in a very silly, foolish way, causing the king to respond. The king said, are we lacking in nuts, in crazies here that you brought me another one? Get him out of here. And he didn't even want to hear who it was, what it was. And this ended up actually rescuing King David's life. And the fact that this story appears in the Torah is a book of advice. It's not a book of history or stories. Every story, every word in the Torah is a message for us. King David set an example for us that sometimes When a person finds himself really, really in a bad place, a bad situation, the only way that the person will be able to spin out of it is through this ruach shtus, through this silliness, making himself appear ridiculous, nutty, and from that be able to swing into holiness, purity, and success.